Hello, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. We see so many familiar faces. It's amazing. Joe Carnegie is here. My name is Carlos López Estrada.
And I'm Amanda Schneider from Dolby.
We're very happy to be here today.
Thrilled to be here, just thrilled.
We're very happy to have you all here. We've done a panel here for the last 3 years because of Dolby, and it's really nice to share the stage with Amanda today because we're eternally grateful for Dolby just really sort of like walking the walk and supporting emerging filmmakers in very tangible, substantial ways. So thank you for joining us. And Glenn, I don't know where you are, but I know you're out there. Oh, you're right here.
It's right there. Glenn Kaiser.
Glenn is also our guardian angel from the Dolby Creator Lab, and we're very happy to have you here.
Thank you, Carlos. We're thrilled to be here as well too. We're thrilled to be with a full house of filmmakers and film lovers. Thank you all for making the time in your busy festival schedule to join us today. I think it's going to be a really fun conversation with some really amazing emerging filmmakers. Before we get started, I just wanted to say how grateful we are as well for our long collaboration with Carlos and with Antigravity Academy. Both organizations are deeply committed to empowering emerging storytellers through education, through mentorship, and through opportunities like the short film program that these films were made as part of that process. And also access to professional creative tools like Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, which played a role in shaping these films. So we're just, again, thrilled to be here and excited to hear from the filmmakers. So.
Yeah, I guess just to give you a quick context of what you may or may not know about what our short film studio is, but we launched it a little bit over a year ago, and it's been sort of like the culmination of our partnership with Dolby, and we just had this idea of like, what if we can offer grants to filmmakers, and what if, in addition to giving them the grants, because sometimes these grants sort of like just give you a check and then are like, good luck, see you on the
Send
other
you out
side.
into the world.
But we're like, what if we actually work with these filmmakers to develop and to produce and to post-produce their films and just try to offer every single tool that we have as a production company and that Dolby has, as all the amazingness that Dolby is. And this is our first year, so this was like our demo. We're like, let's see, maybe. Thank you. One person's really excited about it. This was our demo. We were like, let's see what we can do. And if we really put all of our energy and effort, can we like maybe dream about premiering at Sundance next year? And here we are. So it's really exciting. And we can't wait for you to meet these filmmakers in 2 seconds. But before that,
we are going to run a short video that just gives you a little bit of a taste of what the program's all about and, you know, what these filmmakers' experience were. So, Whitney, let's run it.
The moment I talked to Antigravity and they were sort of explaining the program, the timeline, and the opportunity to really work at the highest level, I was like, these people want me to make my movie and they really want me to use these tools that are reserved for filmmakers in a different stage of their careers.
We knew that we were going to have access to Dolby. That started orienting me towards what I wanted this soundscape to be. Just to have the opportunity as like an early career filmmaker to see my film in a big theater where I wouldn't otherwise, it was really cool.
When we were told that we were selected for the program, it was really amazing because you apply to these things without ever thinking that you're gonna get selected. It gives you that spark of energy when you know that a project's gonna happen. During the Dolby Vision was a great experience. Seeing the film being projected on a proper theater, seeing how the blacks really feel like deep black, the amount of detail that you get in the image.
Atmos allowed me to have the city come alive, to show how a person experiencing the city pretty much for the first time feels. We were really able to play with the sound with that.
The spatial quality of the sound, it's more immersive.
Antigravity and Dolby helped me by pairing me with really incredible producers and that really supported me all the way through. And so having that crew that were at the top of their game gave us the best film possible.
Nice.
Amazing.
Nice. Okay, we'll introduce them to you. I think something
Oh.
amazing. Something that I forgot to say, but as we were watching this, Gabby, who you'll meet in a second, was talking about us really wanting her to make her movie. And I think that was one of the things that we said from the very beginning, that we were like, this is a program that's going to support and is going to encourage and is going to like offer tools, but these are their movies and we're going to get out of their way and we're going to be as helpful as they want us to be. And if they tell us to go away, we're not going to go away, but we're going to take a step back. So that's something that I think it's important to say because it was very, very much a part of the DNA.
Absolutely.
Okay, shall we introduce these amazing people?
Let's introduce our filmmakers. First up, Gabriela Ortega.
Woo!
Gabby is an award-winning Dominican filmmaker and actor. She is a USC graduate, Sundance Labs alum, and one of Filmmaker magazine's 25 New Faces of Independent Film. Her short, her short, Raya, premiered at Sundance in 2022, and her upcoming feature, Paratus, received the 2023 Rainin Grant. Additionally, she stars opposite Moses Arias in the upcoming film 52nd State, and she is the writer and director of the short film Marga on ALDF. Gabby.
Next, we're going to welcome Amandine Thomas, who's a French-American director, writer, and editor. She is one half of Thumper, the creative duo whose work includes Viaje de Negocios, which was here at Sundance in 24, and Susana, which was here in Sundance in 25. So it's a 3-year streak. Congratulations. Most recently, she released the documentary short, Hello Beautiful, Please Follow Back. With a Vimeo staff pick, she is the director and co-writer of the short film, Albatross. And Gerardo Coello Escalante. Gerardo, you pronounce it Coelho or Coello?
Coello.
Coello, I'm so sorry. Gerardo Coello Escalante. Gerardo is a Mexican director and screenwriter who was nominated for an Ariel Award in 2025 for his short film Viaje de Negocios. Ariel Award is like the Oscars of Mexico. Congratulations. His work has been screened at international festivals such as Sundance, Aspen, Morelia, Palm Springs, and Sarajevo, among many others. He was selected for the Sundance Screenwriters Workshop in 2019 and received the Sundance Ignite Fellowship in 2018. He is the co-writer of Albatross. Thank you all for joining us.
Yes, thank you. And we're going to start at the beginning. We will have time for questions. We'll open it up at the end, so stick around for that. But with that, we'll jump into the first part, which is, the origin of the story and some pre-production.
Who wants to go first? We'll start with you, Gabby, because you're furthest.
I knew it.
And I think also, beyond the origin, if you can just, because neither of the films have premiered. Marga premieres tonight and Albatross premieres tomorrow. So no one has seen them. If you want to give us like 1 to 2 sentence summary of what it is before you dive into the history of it.
Hello. Marga en el DF is my short film. And it comes from, in terms of where it personally comes from for me, it came from a time where I was a bit disillusioned by my work. I felt that I had done a few fellowships and was sort of getting my foot in the industry, but I felt a bit disconnected with what I was doing, and I felt a need to go to my roots, go back home. That is the Dominican Republic for me. And I moved with my parents in the summer of 2024, and it was the longest I had been back at my house since I left high school. And it was a great time because I got a lot of stories from my family's past, the town's past, like chisme adventures, and it was almost like becoming a tourist in your own country. And that experience of sort of seeing a place with new eyes and talking to my mother and being surrounded by the women in my family started the seed of what Marga is. Marga is the story of a woman who, during the aftermath of the murder of Tejano singer Selena Quintanilla in 1995, travels to Mexico City to visit her husband that is studying there. And she travels to surprise him, and then let's just say she's the one that ends up being surprised. And the film is really a coming of age, but a second, like a later in life kind of coming of age. I was really interested in exploring choice in pregnancy outside of whether the woman keeps the baby or decides to not have the pregnancy. And I was fascinated by this idea of starting over in a situation that felt impossible, you know, in that context of being in 1995 and 6 months pregnant, and suddenly you see yourself as a vessel for life rather than a person. And that's where that story came from. And I don't know if I forgot something, but that's it.
No, you did it. You did it. We'll pass it over to the Albatross team.
Hello.
Gerardo.
Yes. So Albatross is about a Mexican woman living in the United States who is married to a man with a neurodegenerative disease, and she is his primary caregiver and provides care for him at a very specific moment, I think, in a person's caregiving journey. And she gets invited to a Mexican Independence Day party, and she has to kind of decide whether she wants to go or not and what she wants to do with her husband. And this is the third film in a kind of a thematic trilogy for us, which explores the relationship between Mexico and the United States in narratives that are maybe kind of unexpected, I guess. The other two films are very different. They were shot in Mexico, and this is the one that we shot in the United States. I mean, for me personally, caregiving has been a huge part of my life. My father is very sick, and my mother is his full-time caregiver. So illness and caregiving has been a huge, huge, huge part of my life, as well as neurodegenerative brain diseases. My father has one, my grandmother has one, her mother had one. It's shaped my life in more ways than I could ever express. And I think of it, not to get too political, but I think it's like a major human rights crisis in the United States, actually. And I also think that it is full of narrative and dramatic possibility. And I really wanted to, I think we were really interested in the taboo of like a person moving on romantically from their partner, from someone they were once romantically connected with. And I think as you become a caregiver, that relationship changes. And from the years that I've spent in Facebook support groups, I know that that is like actually really difficult transition and a huge, really shameful taboo that a lot of people struggle with. And I found that it's really interesting. And then I also really wanted to explore like being in the point of view of a person living with brain disease. It's like almost like philosophical in a way, the way that your brain changes and the way that your experience of the world changes. I also found that like super fascinating.
Anything you want to add, Gerardo?
Well, I think the only thing I would add is, there's the caregiving aspect that was always at the center of Albatross. Albatross was actually, the first draft of it was written even years before Amandine and I met. So it's a project that since we started working together, we've found ways to like kind of explore and reinvent. We found this connection with the alienation that you feel as a Mexican person in a different country. And we didn't want to explore a narrative of someone who came here through, the hardships that so many people come from, like crossing illegally or anything like that. We wanted to explore the same alienation that is experienced by someone who came here for an education or a job or marriage. And that kind of sense of longing. And, there's a lot of, personal experiences that came from both of us because we both have lived or live now away from our home countries.
Yeah, I think we were really drawn to these stories in the kind of selection process because they were so personal, both of these stories, and I think that really spoke to us, and we wanted to support them and get those stories out. So yeah.
Thank you for making them. I hope you can all see them. They're screening a bunch of times. Maybe after this, we'll give you screening time so that you can show up because they're both beautiful. Okay, we agreed that Amanda was going to be our anchor in this interview, and I was going to be the drunk sidekick. So I'm gonna go off script and expose you all a little bit. It wasn't just you three, but I think everyone. We did 2 more films in the program, and I think everyone at some point, somewhere towards the end of pre-production and the beginning of production, expressed a lot of gratitude. It was like, I love this, so happy that I'm making this short. But also, I don't think I ever want to make a short film again. So I'm just curious today, what is your relationship to short films? And how do you feel? You've all three have had such great success with them, but they're hard. And no matter how much love and support you have, they will never not be hard. And I know you're all working on feature projects. So just curious, how when you think about shorts today, what are the feelings that circle your mind?
I love short films. I love the format. I for sure would not want to make one again right now. It kind of like drains every single ounce of life from you a little bit. It gives you life. It's beautiful. It's like a dream. It really is. You come up with something, you think of it, you find the right people to make it with you, and it's incredible. But it's the most draining experience you will ever have. And it's, it's really awesome to get to share it. There's really, I think it's the only way to start a film career, directing, to have short films, to have work that speaks to your name. But at the same time, I don't think there's enough places for distribution of short films. Once it goes to a festival, it can have a lot of success in the festival circuit, but there's not much you can do with it after. There's not like, it can get an online release, but like the life of a short is kind of, it just becomes like a calling card. And it's very hard to like put so much time, an entire year probably of work, dedication, energy into something that, at the end of the day, just a calling card for your next project. So it's important, but it's like, it's really hard. And that's why I think we express that.
That's good. We want to get real here, so.
Well, I want to make a feature film. That's like my lifelong dream of my whole life. I think after I make a feature film, I could die. I don't want to, but I could. That's my whole dream of my life. So, we've made 4 shorts in like 2.5 years. We spent all of our money, every single cent. And then some that we didn't actually have. And I'm so proud of that, and I'm so happy we did that. And truly, I feel like every short film, like I learned so much, especially on this one. I learned so much, and have become a better director, writer, editor, but I really want to make a feature film,
And all 3 of you, I mean, I don't know, this is top secret, but all 3 of you are working on your first features.
Yes. Anybody have any money? I love short films, actually. I think when I started watching short films, I think I was in college when I really started looking for them. And I love an excuse not to do something. I love an excuse to be like, maybe I'll watch a short and not do my assignment, or I'll watch a short before I have to take a shower to leave or something. So I really love shorts, and I love finding like Andrea Arnold's short Wasp was one of the things that made me want to make a movie. or that short Spider that they always show you in film school because it's like so short and so effective and so tense. And I like the idea of like these thrills that you can evoke in such a small amount of time. And I think the best short films linger. And yes, I do want to make a feature, but I do love short films. And I wanted to make this short film because when I wrote the script, I wasn't outlining or like doing a treatment and then pitching it to something. I just wrote it. And it felt so liberating to just put words to a page and express something. And then I was done, and it was like 18 pages, and I was like, I think this is the best thing I've ever written. And that felt so good, and then I just wanted to make it, and it was like, Gabriela, you've made so many shorts. Do you think anyone's gonna give you money to make anything? And then this happened, and it just felt like an opportunity to graduate into making a feature almost. And then, okay, I was like, you know what? It is true. I have done some shorts, some better than others, but maybe I can take this opportunity and do something I haven't done before. I can take this opportunity and go all the way with an idea. And for me, that was, I want to feel like I really directed my actors. And by that, I don't mean over-direct them to death, but to let them be. Actually, I have two of my actresses here, Camila Santana, that plays Marga, our lead lady, and Andrea de Fatima, who plays a character I will not disclose. And the two of them are wonderful, and they came all the way from Dominican Republic and Mexico to be here. But I think they came because they felt like they liked working with me, maybe, and they liked the film, and I was just so happy with their work, and it made me feel really good to feel like I have a good relationship with actors. And so for me, it was just an opportunity to really test things out. And I also had never shot on film, and I thank you for the trust. But that was such an adventure and such a dream come true.
You really willed that into existence. We're like, Gabby, there's no way we can shoot. She's like, no, I'm going to figure it out. We're like, sure. And her production team, who we have a couple of representatives here, figure it out. Amanda, I know you had a development question.
I have a couple development questions. I mean, one, part of the program is that, you're coming into a little bit of a lab environment. You guys had a script, we read those, you guys have an idea, and then you come in and you start figuring out who those collaborators are and who's there to help support. And Antigravity Academy and Dolby were there as a support system, helping you with, pairing you with producers and helping you to kind of identify collaborators. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about like the early process of selecting who you were going to collaborate with and how that, how that support from Antigravity Academy in like the script development phase and in pre-production was helpful and different maybe from the previous shorts that you guys have worked on.
What was wonderful about this is that I'm the kind of filmmaker, and I think you should be like this because circles rise together, but I always roll deep with the homies, This was my first time working with all new people. And that was so much fun because suddenly I didn't have to, nobody knew my bad habits. I could test their strategies. It was like such a cool way to be challenged because, sometimes working with your friends is amazing because you have support and honesty and trust, but then sometimes that support and honesty and trust plateaus a bit just because, you don't have as much perspective. Sometimes you need to sort of reach out to new ventures and new people and see what you find about yourself. And so we have one of my producers here, Eugenio Valero from Mexico. We have Holly from Antigravity, Ellie, who did such an amazing job. And I didn't know them. And at first, Holly and Ellie and Valerie and Carlos from Antigravity were telling me, we're going to pair you up with people in Mexico. And I had never worked in Mexico. And at first I was like, what about this person and this person? And I was like mentioning all these random people. And they were like, we got you. And then we did a Zoom call with the producers, and it was like a match made in heaven. And then we had the most talented people to work on this film, like my editor, Monica, who edited Honey Boy, and she's just incredible and made this movie with me all on Zoom, editing on Zoom while she was working on other things, and just so passionate. And she's just an incredible, I mean, there's the title sequence of My Dreams is in this movie, and it's because of her. And it's all testament of, like, sometimes you don't know, we close ourselves off a bit of who we work with because we're just used to the same people, and that's not bad. I mean, really, working with the community is amazing, but sometimes we're even afraid to reach out because, you know, Monica is so experienced. She's done many features. I was like, oh, she'll never work with me. But now, you know, we did this short, and now we're here at Sundance, and it was just such a beautiful experience.
I think it was like a two-way surprising, because it's like we would be like, hey, here's these people. We're like, oh, cool, can they? And then you're like, hey, I got Monica to edit the short. We're like, wait, Monica, like that Monica?
Monica Salazar.
Like, you sure?
Yeah, she
like,
says,
oh my God.
Iñárritu, BRB.
I know, she's like going from working on this incredible piece of art with Iñárritu, and then it's like, yeah, I'll do your short, and yeah, I can. And so it was a nice two-way collaboration where, like, you found some incredible people that you brought on.
But I think it's also part of the process of when you get an opportunity like this, and I say this is if anybody else is thinking of applying, because there's an application open, wink, wink.
I guess we should have said that at the top. I'm sure
maybe
it's
I
here.
should
I'm
be
sure
the
it's
third person
here.
running
I'm sure
the
it's here, but
no. But if you think of, like, I think it's cool to take a chance and reach out to people because you never know what you might find.
before we pass it over, we'll do a quick plug. We did just open up applications for year 2. I think that was
Somewhere
maybe
in the
that was the
remarks at the
first
end.
thing that I had to say, and I didn't say it. So
I don't
please,
think you read the script.
but please tell anyone who you think may be interested in this type of thing, because we're really excited. We got such incredible filmmakers. I was talking to Glenn. It's like the most beautiful and the most sad thing about this review process is that there's so much incredible talent, and sadly we can only offer this to, you know, a selected few. But anyway, please tell anyone you know. We're so excited about it. Okay, sorry.
So the development process, it was our first time doing this kind of development thing where we would, like, submit drafts and then get notes. And I really, really enjoyed that because it always felt like there was, like, it's like, okay, we got selected based on this script that we have. So I felt like there was some, like, implicit trust from, like, Antigravity side. And I found the notes to be quite, like, they always, like, made us think. I don't know how to, they were always, like, quite positive, and I don't mean just, like, compliments, but they were
They're very thoughtful.
yeah, they were thoughtful, and never prescriptive, and, like, it was just felt very like we were being guided through this kind of thinking through our script, and I found that to be really interesting and helpful, and I feel like we had a better script coming out of that process for it. And then we got to work with Zach, who I think is here.
Zach,
Our producer, who we really went through it, Zach. We went through it. We went through it. We moved our location. We shot in Virginia, where I'm from. And I hadn't done anything there since I made my very first short, which had, like, 4 people. So I didn't know really anyone, and it was, like, kind of all hands on deck of trying to find crew, which ended up being so amazing to work with. And it was quite difficult to find our locations, actually in part because of the ice and what's still going on. A lot of people were really scared. That was horrible. But somehow it came together. The house that we found was like the only house that responded to our letter drops. We did a lot of letter drops.
Around 200 probably, or more.
Yeah, and it was the only house. They probably don't know that, but they were the only one. And they actually responded because the woman has the same name as the protagonist, and she has a very personal connection to like the little blurb of the story that I put, and she was actually kind of freaked out. She was like, I'm responding because this, like, are you spying on me?
Oh no.
Yeah. and it ended up being like the perfect house, and we brought camera from New York. It was crazy.
Anything you want to add?
Not really. I mean, I just, like Amandine said, the development process was awesome because we hadn't really had in our previous work. Like, we had the script, but it's always had to be up to us to really think about it and challenge ourselves, like, how can this get better? And oftentimes we had found ourselves sharing it with certain collaborators that were just so eager to work with us that they were like, it's perfect, it's perfect, it's perfect. And like, that's the worst thing you can do. Never do that, please. Because then the work doesn't get better. It's much better. Obviously, you don't want someone that is like, this is terrible and tries to impose something. But the development process was really, really great because we got very, very thoughtful notes that just kept us, made us keep thinking about the film, about the character in a deeper way. And the film was just getting better and better. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out everyone from the team, Ellie, Holly, Val, Carlos, Anna, who's not here. And Zach as well. They all gave really good notes. And it was really kind of like a two-way leap of faith in many ways. Like, they believed in the project, and like, we were developing, and it just kept getting better as we were writing it. And we wanted to shoot in Virginia. We didn't really have a lot put in place, but Antigravity trusted us to like figure it out and get it done in time, and we're so thankful for that. And together with Zach, there were some huge key pieces that like he brought along, and like we all kind of worked together to make this happen. And it was great. And also want to shout out Sophia, who's there, our production supervisor, who was an integral part of the production.
Sophia.
Amazing.
Carlos was just asking if we could watch a clip, and I said yes, we will. But
We have some clips.
we have some
but not
clips,
yet.
and hopefully that's okay. That we're going to show a little bit before premiere. No spoilers, but we'll still show a little bit.
Exclusive, TMC.
Exactly, exclusive. But I did want to ask a question, since it's Dolby, so we're all about sound and visuals, and so wanted to ask you guys a question. We're always encouraging filmmakers to think about sound and atmosphere and the visual tone of the film while they're writing the script, and really kind of start at the beginning and use it as a storytelling tool. And so I'm interested to hear from you guys, when did you start to find that sonic and visual language of the film? And knowing that you guys are going to be finishing in Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision, like, what kind of impact did that have on the script and on the pre-production as you were thinking about going into production and shooting the film?
And I don't know if you had this experience, but the first time I worked with Dolby Atmos, I remember looking at the film, and it was just like, whoa, I did that. Like, all of a sudden it came to life in a way that I didn't even imagine. So I anything that you want to share about that, because the films are huge, but they're very intimate. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God.
I think at some point early on, Glenn had said that, like, get your location sound mixer to just get everything. So you have all these textures and things to play with. And I thought that was so, that we went by that, and that was so helpful. And we got all these different textures. Yeah, like the cicadas, and in Virginia in the summers, like, humid and sticky, and there's storms all the time, and we got a bunch of that, and that was so helpful to then play with in the mix. And I think just knowing that it just helped, like knowing that we were working with Dolby, I think helped me have like a super maximalist approach, which was really fun. And then you like add all this stuff and then you're like, okay, this is too much. At some point it was like an ice cream truck. That was kind of weird. And then you start to pare it back, but I feel like sometimes I need encouragement to like go further and really play. And I think we were very much encouraged to do that. And I learned a lot from that process for sure. And the sound mix is my favorite thing. So it was so cool.
What I loved about working in this movie is it's a movie set in 1995. So technically that's a period piece. I know. I'm 30. But so my film is called Marga en el DF. So DF means Distrito Federal. And that's how they used to call Mexico City before. Before we all were like, let's go to Mexico City for a spring break. You know, before that, it was called El DF instead of now that it's called La Ciudad de México, Mexico City. And so to me, my parents, there is a generation and there's a group of people that still call it El DF because that's the city they knew. And so when I was growing up, my father and my mother, who both lived in El DF, would say like, you have to go to El DF. And so I grew up, I was almost actually born in Mexico. But because I had such a personal connection to that, then like I live in Los Angeles and I would travel a lot there and ended up like, you know, I had a partner from Mexico City at one point in my life. And so I started building this relationship with the city across time. But to me, it was such a special way to go to the period, you know, 1995, without having to over-explain. And so if I'm naming the movie Marga en el DF, I'm putting you in a time and place. But that is a big responsibility, especially for a short film, because it means that what you need to hear is not the city that you would go and visit today. It's the city that you would go and visit 30 years ago. And that was a challenge, but it was so much fun because it meant that the sound in the movie had to become a character as well. And we actually worked with the same sound designer, Cesar Gonzalez, who is incredible in Mexico City, was super thorough. And similar to you, you know, we had this maximalism of compiling sounds, but we had to be a bit triple checking all the time if something was of the time, because there's so many sounds, you know, in the city that kind of populate and contaminate in a way, but not all of them were back in the day the same. Probably the woman that's selling, buying iron, yes, like lavadoras, like all that, se vende, that's probably the same. But other than that, you don't know, like, you may think they're like, it's a flute that's playing like a bolero, but it's like Ariana Grande. So you have to be very careful with what you're getting. But what was cool about that was that I ended up working with a studio in Mexico for the music called MCO Studios. And then the musicians there, this was my favorite part of the post-process. We did a jam session to compose the music. So I was there for 12 hours and they just started jamming to the music playing in the background. And they have the biggest collection of synth, old school synths in Mexico City. And one of the composers, Camila de la Borde, made the task to only grab machinery and equipment that was 1995 or before. And I thought that was so cool. Like, not everyone's gonna think about that when they see the movie, but then I watched the movie and I'm like, we did that, you know? And so they were composing the music in front of me. And then they brought out the mezcales. And Eugenio and the rest of the producers came in and we were giving feedback live, and it was like working in a concert, and they did everything in one session. And for one of the scenes, there's a cumbia. And I was like, man, with the Dolby Atmos, we can make it feel like it's in the restaurant playing around them. So we have to have someone like, if it's a live singer, a Latino live singer, they're always gonna be saying something between the song, like, hey, súbelo, like stuff like that. And they were like, oh yeah, that's really nice. Take the mic and do it. So we're like all like making weird noises and like I'm like making voices to put in between the songs. And then at one point there was a cue that needed like to feel like a breath and some air. And Eugenio, who's sitting right there, did the weirdest noise. He like did a mixture between a whistle and a coo or something. Wait, can we do it to the mic? Come.
Let's see if we make
That's Eugenio Valero, producer of Marga en el DF.
Wait.
Isn't that crazy? So he suddenly whips that up after 2 mezcales, and we're like, that's in the movie. And suddenly we're recording this. And then then they edited the sound, and then when we did Atmos in San Francisco, it was just like incredible to see that sound and become a time-traveling sound and take us to an emotional place. And I just loved that part of the process.
Both of these films sonically are so different and trying to achieve different things with sound. And I'm so glad that you brought up the music and just the sound of the city, because it is such a character in the film. And, obviously the choice of 1995 and Selena and having access to that music. But we do have a clip that we'd like to show if we can. And I don't know if you want to set this up. This is clip that's towards the end of the film. It's actually the very end of the film, if you're okay with that.
It's not the very, very end.
Well, not the very, very end, but
it's towards the end. I would like to say that this is the moment in the movie where my character gets to feel fully. And that's it.
Salías del templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Salías del templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Hermoso huipil llevabas, llorona, que la Virgen te queí. Hermoso huipil llevabas, llorona, que la Virgen te creí.
That was so genius. Isn't it good? Get you a producer that can make sound effects. Raise your bar.
So Gabby, tell us about that sequence. Tell us about filming that sequence on location.
And it was also your very last day of shooting, right? The very last.
It's the last setup, is the last shot, is the last of the last. Amandine and Gerardo were there. They were extras. Featured extras. It was improvised. Not improvised, okay? I planned it, but it was a nice to have. Okay, this is what happened. I hate shooting in studio. And this is probably gonna haunt me. This clip is gonna haunt me if I ever shoot a studio movie. But if I can shoot on location, I would much rather shoot on location. Why? Because locations have ghosts, and ghosts have energy, and that feeds your movie. That's my theory. Anyway, we go to this cantina, and you feel the history here. It is a typical cantina in Mexico. And we're shooting this scene in the middle of this huge place. And I'm only with my DP and my assistant director, and I'm taking photos of them standing in the chairs, how I'm gonna block this scene. It's a dinner scene. And then I see the ceiling, and I spend like 2 minutes like this, and I go, do they turn off one by one? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, do they turn off one by one? Can we ask them to pull down the brakes, please? I need to know this. And then we asked the owner of the place, and he's like so nice, and he's like, oh yeah, I show you, pa pa pa. And I was like, seeing my DP and my AD sitting there, and it felt like they were in this green void, and it was a space that didn't feel real suddenly. And then these lights kept coming out, and I was just like, this is the loneliest place in the world. And I was like, guys, I'm adding a new scene to the movie. And they're like, what? And then I explained it. And I sat down to everyone and I said what I wanted to do, which is that I wanted Marga to be sitting and to be feeling and have a moment by herself that's a bit in her head as outside of reality. And then we had this trio that they were extras already in the movie. They were singing Happy Birthday at a table. And I was like, guys, what's a song that's free of charge? And then we were looking for like a moment of poetry we wanted. And so we found La Llorona, which is a typical Mexican song that's free of rights. And then in the song, it's saying, you were wearing a beautiful huipil, which is that traditional Mexican garment. And she was wearing it. And I wanted her to have a moment of release. And suddenly, like, in my mind, all the gods aligned, and I said, this is the movie. And this day, we were already, like, pushing it, because we had to have a pre-call to get everything we needed. And I just had this image in my head of the guys playing and the lights coming out. And I said to the producers, I promise you, I'm only gonna do it if we have time. And they're like, okay. And of course, I went to the trio early in the day and I say, hey guys, do you know La Llorona? And they're like, of course we know La Llorona. And they start practicing and they spend the whole day practicing. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, who's gonna pull down the brakes? So I started orchestrating with my little claws, getting people on my side for this last shot. And I've been like hyping it up to the crew so that everybody said yes in the end. And we got to it. And what was cool is like we had like 40 extras or something. They all stayed for it. So behind the camera was me and all these people. And I had told the guys, then I want you to hum as you come out, and you have to keep it going. And for some reason, I became Dudamel or something. And I was like, okay, and then you come out. And when you come out, I was like doing like this to them to pull down the brakes. And it was like the whole point, they were gonna be like, break, break. And I don't know, it doesn't make sense how I'm saying it, but it made sense in the moment. And suddenly, this shot that was in my head came together in 10 minutes. And we have Camila there, and we had 2 setups, because I'm not gonna make her cry 7 times. And it was like literally like being in an F1 race. And that's my favorite part of filmmaking, when you have those ambitious shots that you're like, this is it. And we did it, and I just remember us going like, them going like, and the lights coming out. And then when that final light came out, and I say cut, and I look at the AD, and I said like this, and he says, and that's a wrap on the movie. Everybody just screamed. We all started crying. It was like, honestly, I felt like I was on top of the world.
Can I ask you a follow-up on that? And I think all 3 of you, but both teams, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you all experienced some type of like real deep spiritual connection to your projects, and both stories come from really personal places. And that was sort of like the only criteria. I mean, of course, we wanted to make sure the scripts were good and that the filmmaking teams were strong, but sort of like at the very top of the list for Dolby and for us, we said we just need to work on shorts that come from a very real place, and that the filmmakers have a strong connection to it. Like, anyone can make shorts for whatever reason, but the point of the program was to explore sincere stories that meant something to the artists that were putting them together. And that's, I think, why both of your films are so extraordinary. But if you can talk just a little bit about, we'll start with Albatross and then we'll go back to you, Gabby. But what was it like to bring to life something that like came from within? And if you had any like specific memories of sort of like that like beautiful filmmaking magic where we're just like, wow, I just connected to something special.
For me, my family's still very much in this world, and anyone who has experience with like illness, long-term illness, will know is absolutely devastating. And it was really weird. Like I didn't originally want to shoot in Virginia because it felt like too close. And I'm not necessarily always looking for like personal catharsis in my work, I don't think. But this felt like weird. Just, we were staying in my home where my father is, where he sleeps in the living room. And it was just, and I was like caregiving for my father at night. So it was all very, very close. And and my parents are at the end of the film. I don't think they know that. They came to set, and I hope so much that my father was able to understand. I don't know that he was, but I hope that he was able to see me work. And I'm so sorry. But it's weird to do a project from a place that you're still very much in. And I think for me, the thing that I kept thinking about was we had several team members who also have a personal relationship to, who have sick parents. And I think I've spoken to so many caregivers over the years with like completely frantic questions who have helped me. And I just thought of them. And this movie's not like exactly an easy film. Like the protagonist is a little bit complicated, and I just thought of like all of the people that I've talked to over the years who have so much shame and loneliness and who are really, really, really struggling, my mother included. I worked with my brother on the film, which was, I think, strange for both of us. And yeah, it was the first time I worked on something where I felt like a deep sense of catharsis, really, and I felt really protective of the character, and I felt so close to, I don't know, like all the caregivers in the world, I guess, who I know are living through such a similar experience. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. I apologize for crying.
Thank you, Amandine.
Thank you so much for being willing to share that with a group of strangers, and thank you for making the movie, both of you, because it's I don't want to cry right now, but you're gonna make me. No, but it's the reason why we started this. It's like we were not really excited just about making shorts because we could and because these amazing people gave us money, but we wanted to tell shorts because we believe that these types of stories really have the potential to like open minds and open hearts and, you know, change lives. So I hope you'll get to see the movie, and if and when you do, you'll see that it's not someone who had a camera and said like, oh, let's just make something cool. Why? Because we can. But it's a group of people that said, I need to get this out of me, and I believe in it, and it means something. And other people hopefully will get to see it and find some sort of like meaningful connection to it. And that's why we're just so thankful that you all trusted us with your stories that are clearly just coming from such a beautiful place. So thank you for sharing that. And Gabby, I don't know if you...
Thank you. You're incredible. I mean, just to listening, going off of Amandine, I think when you see someone be so vulnerable in their work, I think the stories that we make that mean something to us have a pulse. And that's different for everybody, but they have a pulse because they're not coming from a place of making money or becoming famous or going to Sundance, even though we get to be here and it's incredible. I don't think either of us make a short film to just go to Sundance. I think we make it because we don't have another choice, because there's something about the human condition that we want to express, and that by way of some sort of channel, we have a story in our gut, and if it doesn't come out, it might destroy us. So I thank you for what you say, and I identify with it in different ways and in different aspects of my work. And, you know, we share how much we want to share, but when it comes from a place like this, it's always going to feel really honest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate that. I love to take a look at a clip from Albatross, and I think it's actually a good follow-up to what you guys were just saying, because I think there's some beautiful storytelling here through sound, without a lot of dialogue, and there's a lot communicated. And it is a scene early in the film where we're meeting Maria, we're meeting Lee, so we're sort of understanding their dynamic here in the beginning. And why don't we go ahead and roll that clip?
Lee, are you done? What are you doing, Lee? Why are you all dressed?
So Amandine, do you want to tell us a little bit about designing that sequence and designing the sound and what you wanted to communicate through that?
Yeah, I think we were very interested in being in these like kind of dual points of view, Maria's and Lee's. Lee has a brain disease. He's hallucinating. He has auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations. And for Maria, I really wanted to translate the experience of being so alone in this as a caregiver, and I think like the abrasiveness of all of the things that she has to do in the day, all of the care work that she has to do. She has to do the laundry. She has to help Lee with all of his activities of daily living. And so I wanted this kind of like abrasive close-ups of like the work that she has to do. And like, you know, like all of the little things that are just so grating to her. The faucet is like leaking, the dishes aren't done, and then when she, you know, opens the door because Lee hasn't answered, the shock of like this kind of like jump scare of seeing him fully clothed in the shower, because every day it's like something slightly, some regression, you know, something that's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I thought you could take your own showers. Now you can't. And so we added also, like, in the shower when she opens it, we added, like, you can't tell, I don't think, but we added like a burning, like a forest fire sound, like a burning underneath that. Because it's like, yeah, I really, really wanted to communicate both Maria and Lee's, like, emotional states through the sound.
I think there are a number of moments in the film that you use sound in that way too. There's usually like a build up and then like kind of a bubbling over. So I think, and what were your early conversations with Cesar talking about the sound for the film?
Well, Cesar is he's so brilliant. He's so brilliant. He brought, like, so much to the table with the sound design, and we talked a lot about that, he really believes sound is like a kind of expressionistic tool. And it doesn't have to follow, like, the logic of, like, what you see, you know, on screen. And yeah, we talked a lot about, like, translating both of their kind of mapping both Lee and Maria's emotional states, especially Maria's, through the sound. And we played around a lot and tweaked a lot. Like, the most, I think, from any of the projects that we've worked with him on, especially at the end, to kind of, because it's like that fine line between, like, grounding it in a reality, in reality, but also, like, exploring what it is that they're feeling. You know, like those sequences in movies where it's like the character looks and sees something shocking and, like, all the sound leaves. There's no sound. Like, that's an example of something that's, it might not be grounded in reality, but it's grounded in the reality of the emotional state of that character at that moment. That's why I love sound design.
Yeah, I just want to add something we did with Cesar that was incredible is, like, you can really watch and rewatch this movie and start noticing all the small little things. Like, we created the ambience of the apartment, of the house, the interior, like, we have everything in place. And then it was a game of, like, okay, what if the clock starts to go slower because we're shifting points of view? So we have a clock that doesn't go at the right level. We have certain sounds that move places, like when the shot changes. And it's just all these little things that are so subtle, but just kind of, like, amount to bringing you into the point of view of the character. And that was so fun to do.
I think we all just want to know, you know, what's next and how you guys are thinking about using this program and this opportunity and these films for whatever's coming next for you, like as a launch pad, a jumping off point.
I think we all said it. We want to make feature films. Definitely so excited to share the shorts with you all. I am really hoping that Marga has a life, you know, as it is and beyond what it is, especially because it's a story that I feel strongly about because it's a global story. It's a Dominican woman married to a Colombian man living in Mexico. And I think especially in the US, we need people to understand that that's possible, that multiple types of immigrants can coexist in one country and that they make a country great. And that films that showcase multiple cultures actually unite us more than they divide us. And it's just cool to know about different people and their cultures. We don't have to be so weird and nationalistic all the time. Honestly. But yeah, I hope the film has a life, and I hope I can make a feature soon, and I hope we can be back on stage introducing each other's features. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, we're working on our features. We want to go to feature land so bad. And of course I want Albatross to have a long life, and And I hope, like any filmmaker, that this like adds to the momentum of our careers and our lives as artists. Yeah.
Yeah, basically what Amandine said, and like just being here, it's an incredible opportunity to like meet new people, share the work, and like talk about what's next, what we're working on next, and you know, hoping that we can get a feature made soon, maybe in the next year. Hopefully, we'll see.
And I think the most magical thing about Sundance is that we know it's going to happen, and you know, in 1 or 2 or 3 years, hopefully one, we're all going to be thinking about like, oh, remember when we were here talking about the shorts, and they were all like, oh, I dream about the feature, and then here they are screening for millions of people around the world. So that's why we chose to do this program, because we believe in your guys' stories, and because we really, really see the future, and it's exciting and it's bright, and you're all so brilliant. So thank you for joining us here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so
Yeah.
much.